Hello and welcome to the garden. Well, it's a slightly moody day here today, a bit overcast, slightly cooler. Perfect time to come in the greenhouse and tidy up these vines here. Now, if you've followed many of my videos, you will know that I'm a bit nerdy when it comes to varieties. Not for everything, there are some pretty run-of-the-mill varieties in the garden here, but mostly I avoid hybrids. There are one or two that I grow. I've got a hybrid sweet corn, I've got hybrid cucumbers, I've got one hybrid tomato, and of course all of my tomato rootstocks where I've done the grafting, they're all hybrids. But by and large, I like to grow old varieties. There are many reasons for that, but one of them is that I just find them more interesting. And sometimes that can come with drawbacks. So there are varieties, for example, of currants that I'm growing that I know aren't going to be quite as productive as a modern variety, but I don't care because those currants come from particular places, or they've got a certain history to them, and they're the ones that I want to grow regardless of any other properties of those varieties. And it's a little bit the same here in the greenhouses with the two glasshouse grapes that I've got, and there are drawbacks with both of those. So in the other greenhouse I have Muscat of Alexandria. It's potentially an amazing grape if we get a really good start to the year and we get warm weather in late autumn and they ripen perfectly. They have an incredible flavour. Very often they don't achieve their potential here, even in the south, even against the south-facing wall and in the greenhouse, they still don't quite achieve their potential if we get a slow start or a miserable end to the year. They need a long season and lots of warmth to properly ripen. And yeah, in the old days, I suppose they would be in a heated greenhouse and that would help, but they're just here in our natural environment and we get what we get. Some years though, they are definitely worth it. But that's a variety that I wanted to grow regardless of its performance. I don't care that I only get great grapes 1 in 3 years or 1 in 4 years. It doesn't matter to me. I want that specific variety for entirely other reasons, potentially silly reasons. But this one's a little bit the same, but this one is a lot more common. This is Black Hamburg, and in some ways it's a great choice because it's a really reliable grape. It's pretty productive and it can be grown across much of the country. It is a good choice, except in one regard, and that is these berries really benefit from thinning. And I mean, there are 2 stages to thinning grapevines. Well, 3 actually, of course. Early in the year, you have to go through and you want to thin shoots so that you don't have too many shoots coming from the nodes along the rods, and otherwise it can just get all overcrowded. So early in the year, I've gone through and I've cut back the weaker or less well placed growth, and I've just left these here, and I might have too many still even now. And then some of these are just carrying 1 bunch, but many of them are carrying 2, and that's too many. I need to go through and thin out those bunches. So that's the first stage, and I need to do that with both grape varieties to thin out those bunches, and then the ones that are left, you're going to get better quality grapes, larger bunches, better flavour. You don't want to have too large a crop, and because the vine can't carry it, not to perfection, and then you get nasty little bunches with nasty little grapes. It's not what we want. So I've got to thin those out. The Muscat grape, that one's dead handy because the bunches are quite long and open, and they never need thinning in terms of individual berries. But some of these bunches, I don't know if this will show up well, I'll take a close-up of this in a minute. some of these bunches, they are so packed with berries that if I don't thin individual fruit off of this, then there's no room for those to properly swell up and develop. So that job, to be honest, is a massive chore, and I don't mind it for the first 20 minutes, and after that I kind of hate it. It's just a miserable job, just stood here picking out individual berries out of the bunches. So I know that that can have a huge effect on the quality of the crop here. And what I thought I'd do this year is, from doing this in the past, I know that it has a big effect, but what I thought I'd do this year is thin out one half of the greenhouse, both bunches and then individual berries, and leave the other half. I will thin out the bunches but not the berries, and then later in the year I can come back and do another video where I compare the results, and hopefully we will see that the ones I've taken the time to thin out properly will be giving me the best fruit. If not, that will be the last time that I thin these, but that's almost certainly going to be the case. But it'll be interesting later in the year to see how they go. So my mistake here really with these two varieties, if I were looking for varieties just on convenience and performance and so on, I would probably pick different ones for both greenhouses. It's not sensible to have the Muscat of Alexandria in an unheated greenhouse, because we get grapes off it every year, but we don't get those perfect grapes that I'm really looking for. That only happens occasionally. When it does, they are glorious, but I think if one were being sensible, one would pick a variety that needs a little less warmth than that. And in this greenhouse, I could have picked a variety with much looser bunches that don't need the same amount of thinning, and they would develop a little bit better. So sometimes my variety selection is driven by slightly odd parameters, and it's not always going to be the most convenient. I mean, in other respects, this is a good choice because it is so reliable and it crops well every year. And I know a lot of gardeners have Black Hamburg growing, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's just that to get the best results, some of these bunches need thinning. So I've got 3 jobs to do today really. One is to go through here and take off secondary growth. So where I pinched these out, cut them back earlier in the year, they're all shooting lots of new growth. I need to pinch all of that off because I don't need any of that vegetative growth. It's just going to cause crowding and shading, and these will get out of hand. I want all of that energy going into the grapes, not into new growth. So that needs doing. Some of these need tying up, and then I need to thin the bunches across the whole length of the greenhouse, and then individual berries in this half, or that half. I'll have a look and see which half is going to give me the least amount of work. Now, I did do a video on thinning grapes last year. I know I've got quite a few more subscribers since then. Thank you very much. So I hope you don't mind if I do another little session on that. I won't dwell on it too much though, because you can always look back on that previous video and see what I was doing and why. But I've got my grape scissors out. Anything with a long pointy nose on it is going to be handy. These are specifically grape thinning scissors. I got these from newwacky.com. I do love their stuff, and these are very comfortable to use. They don't look like they would be, but somehow they do fit the fingers nicely, and they're quite quick and easy to get in and around the bunch. So if you look at this branch, there's a slightly scruffy bunch here. This bit I'd probably remove if I wanted to keep this bunch. So I've got these two bunches and this scruffy bit. And although there are more berries here, there's also a lot more work. This bunch, it's pretty tightly packed in there. It's quite a bit of work to get in and thin all of that out. And I mean, we're doing that for several reasons. One is to give some physical space so that these berries can expand. I mean, you just can't imagine how all of those will develop into full-size grapes. It's just not going to happen. There's not the room for it. But the other thing is that then there's no airflow here. It's really congested, and if we get a touch of botrytis here, the poor airflow, that doesn't help. It's much healthier to have these really nicely spread out. But then if we look at this second bunch, there might be fewer berries on there, but it's a lot better spaced out, and that's going to be a lot less work. And once I'm finished with it, it's going to be a lot better, I think, than this one. So I definitely don't want both of those. I'm going to take this scruffy fella away. There's not actually a huge amount of work to be done here. You can see that there are areas of congestion, and I'm going to get in there, just start snipping those berries out, making sure that there's just plenty of room in there for those fruit to expand. You have to picture in your mind what this would look like with fully developed fruit, and also then thin out some of the congestion towards the center of the bunch for good airflow. And yeah, sort of an iterative process. Just keep going around it, picking off the most obvious candidates. I can't have that and that. So that one can go, as can that, is in the way. It's a little bit brutal. I'm going to snip out quite a bit here before I'm finished. But once it's done, what's left will have so much more room to develop, and as a consequence, the berries are going to be so much bigger. They will be sweeter and better flavored at the end. Or at least that's the idea. But this year I'm going to have a direct comparison with the bunches up the other end. Now some of those are a bit like this. Some are nice and open, and some are really compact. But I'm not going to thin any of them. I will, as I go through and thin bunches out, then I will pick obviously the more open and less compact versions. I don't want to skew the results here, but let's just see what happens with bunches that are thin versus those that are not. That's a nice berry back there, but it's crowded, so it's got to go. And this is where the thin blades really help. And if you want to be really fussy, you can think a little bit about the shape you want to achieve with the bunch. I mean, a real expert at this will produce a beautifully shaped bunch of grapes, but I don't have that level of experience or patience with it, to be honest. They'll also do it a heck of a lot more quickly than I do. I don't really like to touch the grapes if I can avoid it. you disturb that nice bloom that's on there. Where's that coming from? That's no good. Well, that's the general process. I will finish that bunch and I'll show you what that one looks like after I'm done. So that bunch is now done. You can see there is a lot more space around each one of those berries. Plenty of room for them to expand. I've got rid of, I think, all of the silly little fruit there that aren't really going to come to anything. And I've really opened up that bunch, and there's a lot more space in here. So there's better airflow around those berries. And I think the bunch looks reasonably well shaped. I'm quite happy with it now. And I mean, you can take this a little bit too far and snip out too much, I think. I've probably got to the right sort of point with that one. I don't think it needs any more thinning. It is quite a job though. If you've got a large grapevine, they can produce a lot of bunches, and yeah, it's a big job to thin them out, but we'll find out later in the year just what sort of difference it really makes. Well, as you can see, that job is a bit of a chore, and you don't necessarily have to do it, but for dessert grapes, those that I'm growing here, I want to eat those. I want the best fruit I can produce. If you're growing them for juice or for making wine, then of course you don't thin the individual berries then, and it doesn't really matter. If you want to avoid this entirely, then it is worth thinking about how the individual bunches grow for the varieties you might be interested in, and picking one with a more open structure. I don't know if I can show you that next door. I'll have a little look. So here we've got a couple of bunches of the Muscat of Alexandria, and it's probably fairly clear, I would think, even at this stage. These berries, of course, are much smaller than the Black Hamburg. Not all of those will develop, and I think you can see that this is a much longer bunch. Everything is spread out here, and as a consequence, these don't need thinning at all. They never get really compact like the Black Hamburg can, and well, that's a bit of an advantage. You can see here just how far behind the Black Hamburg this one is, and whereas Black Hamburg is pretty good across the country, this one, even here in the south, is borderline. And yeah, who knows, hopefully if we get some nice weather later on in the year, we'll get some good Muscat grapes from this. But in any event, this is a lot less work. I will need to go through here though and make sure I've just got one bunch per node here. I don't want more than that, but the individual bunches I don't have to fuss with, so that is a pretty quick job. Anyway, that is all for this video. I will return to the grapes later in the year. Thanks very much for watching, and bye for now.